December 15th, 2015. This was the day Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of the Super Smash Bros. Series, hosted the final presentation for the then latest iterations of the game Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. There, he announced two new characters, Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII and Corrin from the upcoming Fire Emblem Fates, along with several Mii costumes. While these were all solid appetizers, it wasn't exactly the main course most were looking for. You see, during the game's tenure, the developers gave the players an opportunity to choose who would fill the last DLC slot. At 18 minutes and 23 seconds, a million souls waited with bated breath at who would be this game's final challenger.
Bayonetta, your mystery. You come a long way to destiny.
Bayonetta!
Bayonetta! One of my favorite games, Bayonetta 2! You come on!
Bayonetta!
Yes, Bayonetta, a dame from the game with the same name of Platinum fame in Hideki Kamiya's brain. She's a character from an action game franchise that emphasized flashy maneuvers and exhilarating combat scenarios. A series that almost came to an abrupt end had Nintendo not intervened to give it a second wind. The game had received a great deal of derision due to its exclusivity to the Wii U console, despite the fact, paradoxically, a lack of game exclusives being a criticism of the console itself and its existence not being possible without it. Indeed, it would seem that this bout of seething hatred would only be an omen for what was to come, as their inclusion in Smash 4 would change the landscape of the game and the entire series altogether.
What do you see more? Oh, okay.
Fuck this game up, you whore!
I hate this guy so much!
Before we begin talking about Bayonetta and her place within Smash Bros. History, we must first talk about game balance in relation to fighting games and define a term that gets thrown around constantly in this discussion: broken. For the purpose of this video, I will be defining the term broken, providing examples and definitions as we go along. Balance is a very fickle thing that many different developers have gone about in many different ways. Three main ones I've noticed in my experience with fighting games are having compact rosters, by homogenizing game mechanics, and via tag/assist systems. A compact roster is much easier to balance due to less overlap and situations to consider. Optimistically, each character will have a unique niche to fill, making each character valuable in some part of the metagame. Through the homogenization of mechanics, everyone has an even playing field to work from, meaning that even the worst character has at least the bare essentials to make it through. Though that means those that lack even these basic tools are in very dire straits. Street Fighter 1 and Footsies would technically be the most balanced fighting games on the planet, as they are literally the same two characters being played to determine skill at a base level with no strings attached. A less extreme example of this would be Dragon Ball FighterZ. Everyone has a Super Dash. Everyone has a Vanish. Everyone's health is the same. Everyone has a Dragon Rush they can combo into, and the list goes on. With tag and assist systems, each character plays a role in the team, or has an assist mechanic that covers a weakness, usually a bit of both. In King of Fighters, each character is a part of a team that fight in sequential order, meaning a character's weakness in one position can be nullified by switching to another. A character with poor supers can go first to take advantage of a lack of immediate meter, and a character that relies on meter but has trouble building it can go last in order to take advantage of the accumulated resources. This goes double for tag-based games where a character can literally intercede for someone at any time, though games like Pokken have a bit of a compromise by giving characters short assists instead of whole roster slots, allowing, say, a grappler who notoriously have trouble getting in with neutral to have a projectile. While these examples are not exactly the end-all be-all when it comes to balance in fighting games, having their own issues in and of themselves, it is an important thing to understand when it comes to the extremely difficult task of balancing Smash 4. The game has 58 characters, with even similar characters having several different values and properties, where the main competitive format is 1v1. There are so many variables and moving parts to each character and each match that trying to account for them all will be a logistical nightmare, though that hasn't stopped people from trying. Broken is a word that is commonly used, but I don't believe many people actually know the meaning to, as it has been thrown around to describe anything slightly inconveniencing to every DLC character on the first day of release. Brokenness then is something that I would define in 3 parts on a gradient. The first definition of broken would be characters who lack fundamental tools and functions to be relevant, being heavily obsoleted by characters who have similar or the same tools, but with much more favorable properties. These are characters whose moves don't or barely work, and the few that do have an imbalance of the risk-reward relationship, usually favoring the opponent. Good examples of this type of broken are 12 from Third Strike, who lack any real tools, set play, or zoning to contend with his opponent. Angel from Tag 2, who is your usual Mishima, but with terrible frame data. And Anko from GNT4, whose unsafe approach options negated her high damage. Though I believe the best example of this would be Fire Emblem's red-headed stepchild, Roy's appearance in Melee. Tell me, dear viewer, have you ever seen a sword fighter without a sword? Further down this gradient are characters who are powerful due to exemplifying aspects that are inherent to the game and its base systems. Here we have Chun-Li from Third Strike, whose impressive normals built up to an even more impressive super, GT Goku, who at the height of his power was essentially everything powerful from the game's first season, grafted onto an exceptionally tiny body in the second, and Virgil in MVC3, whose impressive tools and meter usage make him the near-perfect anchor for any team. You may notice that GT Goku is a little further down this gradient. This is due to his rather small hurt box, leaning him a little closer to our third category. These characters will be fighters who are powerful due to mechanics or other aspects outside of the game they are in, or are inherent to them individually. This is around where you hear the common complaint, they aren't playing real, insert series here. There are so many examples that come to mind when I think of this category, but I believe the one character that embodies this the most would be Akuma in Tekken 7. Now, Akuma has been a historically powerful character in his home series of Street Fighter, usually being around here. And put him in the game mechanics of a game like Tekken, he becomes a whole different type of raging demon. A character with demon flips, invincible DPs, powerful projectiles, and EXs is powerful in their own game. Put him in a game that generally lacks such things and negate one of their few weaknesses of frailty by homogenizing their health, then you have a genuine threat that many have referred to as not belonging, and some are even calling it
a failed experiment.
Though I do need to put up a disclaimer by saying that while certain characters may have certain traits related to the aforementioned, that won't be enough to make up for other shortcomings. Eliza in Tekken 7, for example, suffered from having very poor lows and from being vastly overshadowed by her metered male counterparts, who did her job better. Panda from Tag 2 had very odd hitboxes, but was so underwhelming in so many other areas that she barely saw much play. Now that we have clear-cut definitions on broken with examples, let's put a neat little pin in this as I move on to Bayonetta's strengths, weaknesses, and her place here in the grand scheme of not only this graph, but in Smash controversy as a whole. In the creation of characters for Super Smash Bros., Masahiro Sakurai and his team usually do everything in their power to make sure that they are well representative of their series in demeanor or moveset, and Bayonetta was no different. Despite her M-rated origins and lascivious nature, and Masahiro Sakurai's known conflicts with Japanese rating board Sero, she was able to stay relatively true to herself in her Smash 4 iteration, leg stockings notwithstanding. Others have gone to great lengths to show how accurate her moves were to her games. Personally, I was very delighted to see her long taunt make it into the game, along with her ability to hold bullets for her every melee attack. No rock was left unturned in making this character faithful to her series. Though that may have been the problem, she was a tad bit too accurate. So let's take a look at this character, pros and cons, starting with the pros. She had a very powerful combo game, with moves that string well into each other and could outright kill at low or even 0%. This was offset by the character having rather high landing lag upon using so many specials in the air. But this was nullified in and of itself by another powerful tool, Witch Time, a counter that when used upon landing would cancel the recovery. Upon being hit in this state, the opponent will be trapped in a slow temporal state relative to the percentage they were in. This is compounded with Bat Within, which allowed Bayonetta to transform into a swarm of bats and reduce damage at a hair's breadth. Though fighting on the ground was less than ideal due to poor frame data, her recovery was exceptional if mastered due to her ability to jump cancel her recovery in order to use it twice. That was necessary though, due to being rather lightweight with a tall stature that made her rather easy to launch, Bat Within notwithstanding. But with a large hurt box came rather large hitboxes, some ludicrously so. A lot of these moves were unsafe on shield, but that didn't matter when off stage. A lot of her approaches did very minimal shield damage, but she didn't have to approach when she had good tools for zoning like bullet arts and bullet climax. See what I'm getting at here? Bayonetta was a character that had a great deal of weaknesses, but they were overshadowed by her very impressive strengths. This led to a very heated debate regarding the legality of the character. Some would say that this character was ban-worthy on its face, but some persisted that it was just an unwarranted action. Smash 4 was considered a rather balanced game at the time, but DLC inclusions had seemingly began to chip away at this assumption, Bayonetta simply being the straw that broke the camel's back. While she was almost unanimously agreed to be the best character, she was far from unbeatable. She had received a plethora of nerfs in patch 1.1.6, a patch released on May 20th of 2016 for her and only her. And even some of the best Bayo players have dropped games to characters on the polar opposite of the tier list. Some had even gone to say that she was downright overrated.
Her moves, especially Witch Twist, differently based on current position. Like if you're here and she's here, you kind of want to go like this way. Same if she's that way or whatever.
Then EVO 2017 happened.
Hey, you little piss baby, you think you're so fucking cool, huh? You think you're so fucking tough? You talk a lot of big game for someone with such a small truck. Oh, look at those arms. Your arms look so fucking cute, they look like little cigarettes. I bet I could smoke you, I could roast you, and then you'd love it. You text me I love you, and then I'd fucking ghost you. Big boys coming with the big stuff. I feel so cool, I got money in my shit.
Salem managed to sweep through the competition with his Bayo, being the only solo main of the character in the top 8. After this, the dam of doubt began to crack, and with it came a flood of discourse regarding the ban of Bayonetta. By this point, Russian Smash scenes had banned Bayonetta, and Missouri, apparently. Spain had even considered the ban, though I couldn't find any information confirming a follow-through with it. However, most of the Smash community at large, despite a great deal of discourse, came to the same conclusion. No.
For me personally, I wouldn't, in its current state, support a ban.
Does Bayonetta need to be banned? I think that, first of all, it's way too early to say, but no, I don't think she actually needs to be banned.
We saw this emerging of Bayonetta players in top 8, and I think we still need some time to figure out if she's really too strong for the game to still be fun, or if there are ways against her.
Today, it is, at the end of the day, my opinion. I don't think she needs to be banned, but
No.
Even so, a very venomous undertone coated the words spoken about the character, a toxic underbelly that spawned the most controversial moments in EVO and Smash history. Well, at least at that point, anyway.
Yikes.
Just to give you an idea of the state of the community regarding Bayonetta and her players, we had death threats, boos, petitions for removal, thrown controllers galore, straight up racism, poor sportsmanship, dislike bombing so rampant you could tell who won from the ratio alone, and even physical violence. Asterisk, question mark. Though there was one sentiment brought up by many in the community at large, but most notably by Zero, the most prolific Smash 4 player at the time, that the people who play Bayonetta were carried.
That's just it. In my opinion, Bayonetta carries players. Not everyone. There are a few exceptions of players who are legitimate, good credit from actual good players like this. The reason why I believe Bayonetta can carry a player is because of two reasons. She's very easy to use, and if you execute everything properly, the opponent just can't escape anything. But
which is an idea I don't truly understand, especially considering how later in the video he said that he didn't believe that she should be banned.
I'm not saying by any means whatsoever, or even suggesting the idea of banning the character. That's stupid.
It's strange because in any other genre of competitive game, be it card games, shooters, or what have you, using the optimal strategies to win is something that's expected rather than something you get lambasted for, especially when playing on a team for millions upon millions of dollars.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports.
Granted, some of these games are rather antiquated. It's not like chess is going to get some meta-altering new piece in a DLC patch anytime soon, though exceptions do apply in some games.
Don't you guys fucking learn how to actually play the fucking game and talk?
Shoot a gun, dog. Learn how to fucking shoot a gun. You fucking riot shield. What else you gonna do? Oh, riot shield. I'm a pussy that use riot shield.
However, I do have a hypothesis as to why that is. You see, competitive fighting games, more so than possibly any competitive game, is exceptionally personal. Fighting game players don't usually play for money. They barely get paid, if at all. The intense 1v1 nature of these games mean that the only excuse one can make for a loss is their own folly. The myriad of playstyles that fighting games have allow players to express themselves through the characters they play. So much so that many would even associate certain characters with their branding. More often than not, it's a clash of egos, a mark of supremacy, or some other gesture of superiority, due in part to certain people's inclinations or aversions to certain characters. Who you play in a fighting game can be seen to some as a mark on the persons themselves. It's an environment where winning multiple times can make you a legend, but losing once or twice can mean you're washed. You could be one of the greatest players of all time, but no matter how many times you win, you will still be reminded of that one horrible loss years and years later.
He's not gonna do it. He got this? He got this? Huh? He got this? Let's go, Justin! Oh!
Many have said that this character was the reason for Zero's retirement, but despite his aversion to Bayonetta, he has had a history of playing arguably more meta-busting characters in the game's previous installment, Brawl. If Bayonetta could carry lesser skilled players, then surely it could carry the best player in Smash 4. What I think happened was very simple. Zero was willing to retire a hero before staying long enough to see himself become a villain. By this point, he had established a fanbase and would later prove to be financially profitable as a content creator for Smash, possibly more so than he was as a competitor. He would probably be able to subsist like this for a while if things didn't happen. Some have said that certain players have received better tournament results due to playing this higher tiered character, citing some evidence. However, A1 Bernard's Loop made a comprehensive statistical breakdown of Bayonetta and placings and came to at least the partial conclusion that successful Bayonetta players were rare compared to her install base. I will not be going into extreme detail in this article as it is an exceptionally lengthy read. I do implore any of you to at least give it a cursory look. Links in the description. Though I will say that it was accurate enough to predict what would happen in EVO 2018. Or rather, what didn't happen. You see, there were 3 Bayo players in top 8. Nothing too out of the ordinary for top tier characters. Could have been 4. Or 6. But regardless, people booed. And the Bayo players fired back. 2 of them managed to make it to grand finals. Bracket gets reset, a homie sock is given, but otherwise, nothing out of the ordinary. Then, 15 minutes into the set, nothing happened. At all. The grand finalists stood there, charging for around 2 minutes. Higher-ups eventually got them to continue the set. A winner was decided, but by then, the damage had been done. After this stunt, no shortage of criticism had been levied at the players, at the character, or at the game. Even individuals who had never really interacted with the game much before this point saw it fit to throw their hat into the ring. Many a player and content creator chastised the Bayo mains for disrespecting the game, despite having mocked them just months earlier, and the boos that rained down irregardless. There were many interpretations for what had happened on that day, but it was abundantly clear that it was the result of months and months of malicious mockery rising to a fever pitch. In a way, these were monsters of the community's own making, born of reciprocated contempt that was given a stage to be expressed. Years later, this moment would be continued to be referenced by the community. Oddly enough, even by individuals who had faced similar persecution, as it was seen as a low point that killed the game. Despite this, Smash 4 would have 5 more major tournaments after this, and of these 5, Bayonetta would win only 1. And one man was going to make sure it stayed that way. A new Smash Bros. Game had been announced for Nintendo's spiffy new console, the Switch. With hype came trepidation. What new things would be available, but more frighteningly, what things would stay the same? After the Nintendo Direct teaser, the game would be fully revealed on June 12th of the same year at E3 2018. Here it was revealed that everyone from every Smash would be returning, including Bayonetta. No! But wait! There's more. On March 22nd, 2018, Nintendo would announce an invitational at E3, basically a tournament featuring top players and content creators from all over. An event like this, hosted by Nintendo on such a high-profile series such as Smash, would more than likely have a lot of eyes on it, both on and offline. Enter Leonardo Lopez Perez, otherwise known as MKLeo. A Mexican-born Smash player with more than a few titles under his belt. You may recognize him as one of the post-EVO 2018 champions in 4 and one of the most prevalent names in Ultimate. He, along with many others, were chosen to participate in the Invitational. He was a competitor, but more so than that, he was a man on a mission. You see, He would reveal in a later livestream that it was his intention to get Bayonetta nerfed and show how much of a threat that she was, more than likely witnessing the perceived atrocities committed by the character in his absence. He was going to use the event to show how broken she was, ensuring that she would not ruin future games or future events with her presence. Though there was a bit of a problem with this.
1v1 Fox only. We're going to see some smash balls. We're going to see items. We're going to see singles, doubles, and 4-player free-for-alls as well too.
The types of matches that were present in the Invitational weren't exactly what we'd call tournament standard in Smash Brothers. In the case of certain matches, like the doubles matches between Mr. R and Lucky against Plup and Abadango, those involved didn't even seem to understand the type of matches they were playing. Nevertheless, MKLeo persevered and managed to advance far enough to face Plup later in the tournament, 1-on-1. It is showtime. The players were allowed to choose from 30 characters via a snake trap, allowing them to have a stable of 3 to choose that, when fully used, allowed the player to use any of the fighters in their stable for the remainder of the tournament. Of the characters in their respective stables, MKLeo chose Bayonetta and Plup chose Ridley. And all hell broke loose.
MKLeo trying to hang on, really trying to get the punish on his comeback. Oh yeah, for sure. We saw that. You see Plup at 106 trying to edge guard against Bayonetta. It's going to be another combo and juggle off the top of the screen.
The chat erupted in jeers. Sakurai apparently shaking his head in disgust, according to some accounts. Open and shut case, right? Well, not quite. You see, as I had mentioned before, the rule sets for these matches were rather unorthodox, to say the least. First of all, the match had items and smash balls on, which, in any other context, would immediately disavow any legitimacy to this match competitively. But let's continue. The stage they were playing on was Green Greens, a stage with hazards and an extremely low ceiling, which has been banned from competitive play since its inception, but let's continue. The developed metagames for these characters and the experience playing with and against them were horribly skewed. Just look at the characters chosen by the future grand finalists. They were characters who were present in previous Smash games like 4 and Brawl, and were high or top tiers in those respective games, being piloted by some of the best players of those games against a person who primarily played Melee, with others on the side, using a character who was announced and probably released that very same day. Okay. So let's go over MKLeo's plan here. To show that Bayonetta was broken, he was going to play a match with items and final smashes on an illegal stage with a low ceiling, doing ladder combos on a character who, due to his sheer size, was considered impossible to even get in Smash for the longest time, being used by someone who had played the character for at most a day. That's crazy. What's even crazier is that it worked. Before I continue on to a match that more accurately reflects the balance of the character at the time, I want to say one thing. The match composed of 4 stocks. The first stock that Plup lost was to Bayo's final smash, which automatically kills anything above 100%. The second stock he lost was to an item that, given the percent he was in and under the idea that it worked the same as the previous title, would not have killed him had he at all touched his controller. The third was what happens to any fat hitbox in a game with combos, and the fourth was in deep red percents that was facilitated by the bombs embedded in the stage. Smash 4.5, everybody. This was the most controversial pre-release discussion for Smash Ultimate. You know, aside from the idea that a game with new assets, new characters, new mechanics, new UI, new modes, new movesets and stages was somehow still a port.
Nintendo Smash Brothers, Nintendo killed it, man. Nintendo fucking killed it with, you know, just repackaging the same game and just making it look nicer and adding a few characters. They fucking killed it, man. Just chill the fuck out.
Anywho, let's continue on to Grand Finals. MKLeo faced Zero in a rule set much more reminiscent of the standard tournament rules used by competitive players. No items, 3 stocks on Final Destination. Zero chose Mario while MKLeo continued with the Witch. One might think this would be a stomp like the others considering how long Zero was away from the game and how poorly he has fared against the character in the past. However, Bayonetta's performance in this match, compared to others, was like night and day. Many of the combos Leo was going for seemed to be very easily escaped. At around 4 minutes and 40 seconds into the VOD, he attempts her signature Zero to death, but Zero almost effortlessly escapes it. This seems to show that Bayo was definitely altered in this iteration from 4, as if this had been the previous game, that interaction would have most certainly led to a dropped stock. That's what I could glean from my casual eyes. More astute players took notice of several things that I missed. Some may simply attribute this to bad execution on Leo's part, but that excuse has issues as he had been playing Bayo at a high level long before this, though nerves could have been a factor. Zero did throw himself off the stage 5 minutes in, though Ultimate's changed buffer system could have been the culprit behind that mishap. Nevertheless, MKLeo did win the match, but it wasn't an all-out stomp like his previous one. It was a last stock situation. However, despite winning, Leo switched characters. Why? He had 2 more chances to prove how busted Bayonetta was. Why the sudden change in attitude? Well, the dissent for Bayonetta had not yet wavered. You may notice a bit of dissent when rewatching these VODs. At the time, everyone seemed to find the boos and jeers funny. Everyone, except MKLeo.
Leo, how do you feel about the crowd going off after you did Bayo? It's so bad. I didn't mean to do that. I like Bayo. I like the character. I wanted her to be nerfed, but like I didn't want it to be hated by the Bayo, by the people. That's why I stopped playing Bayo in Grand Finals. I was like, no, I don't want to play Bayo, and I don't want to beat Zero. I don't want to win this tournament when everyone is going to be so mad at me. No one will hate me. That's why I stopped playing Bayo.
It would seem that the scorn of hundreds of people being directed at him seemed to do a number to his nerve. But to this day, people praise him for his noble sacrifice. MKLeo won the battle, but lost the war, as he ended up losing to Zero in the end. With the Invitational concluded and Zero declared the winner, Masahiro Sakurai took to the stage to say that the game wasn't finished and that there were things that needed to be fixed. While demos would be available in select locations, we would have to wait until December 7th, 2018 to get the game in our hands. I didn't receive my copy day one. I got mine during Christmas of that year. For the first few days, I more or less dedicated myself to unlocking characters, playing through Classic Mode, World of Light, all that jazz. Ended up unlocking Bayonetta. Great. Ended up doing some labbing and a bit of her Classic Mode. I know she feels a bit off in a way I couldn't truly describe at the time. I shrugged it off as many people were still coming to grips with the game and its changes to characters. Hopped onto online, fought an Inkling for my first match ever, got rolled to death. Went for a rematch, but they were already gone. Okay. Next match was a Crom. Snatched his soul, went for a rematch, and they were gone. Alright. I kept on like this for a couple of days or so, never quite shaking the feeling that something was off, until this happened. This is the point when I realized that something was definitely wrong. This is when I looked up the changes that Bayonetta received in Smash 4 to Ultimate. Of course, she was nerfed, but it couldn't be that bad, right? Right? I had no words. What could one say? Bayonetta hadn't just been hit with a Nerf bat. She had her skull cracked open with it and left to bleed on the updates page. As I gathered more and more information and began to further understand the severity of the situation, I wondered why nobody was talking about it. But there was one individual who was outspoken enough about the issues that Bayonetta had, and that individual was Phoenix 18. He, like myself, is not a competitive Smash player, but he is an enthusiast for the character and her inclusion in Smash, contributing much to the scene. He is a prevalent member of the Bayonetta Discord and Smashboards, having created the Bayonetta Recovery Frames chart detailing the majority of her landing lag from specials, and the startup comparison chart among all characters for A moves and grabs. He is also a constant source of updates for the Bayonetta Smash Ultimate wiki page. He has made several posts detailing the issues with the character in explicit detail. I managed to get into contact with Phoenix and talk with him regarding the state of the character in Ultimate, as well as to corroborate some of my own findings. The following is going to be a rather in-depth summarization of both his writings and my own research and experience with the character. I anticipate that this is going to be rather lengthy, so I want to give you all a succinct taste of the Bayonetta experience via a short clip. Here's me fighting this Cloud. Doing fairly well. I get him to the ledge, predict that he's going to jump. I was correct in my estimation. Go me. I smash attack him in order to catch his option, but the massive demonic fist of Madama Butterfly simply phases through him. Since the attack is so laggy, I am unable to dodge the ensuing retaliation from my opponent. I have played a lot of Bayonetta before and since then, but nothing has encapsulated the raw, visceral despair of playing this character in such an explicit fashion. Bayonetta in Smash Ultimate is a character so fundamentally flawed that her inclusion in this game can only be described as superficial at best. I'm going to start with the less gameplay important stuff and move on from there. Bayonetta's long taunt has been well and truly butchered in this game, sped up and thoroughly shortened, some ending so fast that the animation ceases before voice lines themselves can.
If you need to learn how to talk to a lady, ask your mum.
Much care was taken with making them long and four, so to see them in this game is mind-boggling. Especially when you take into consideration the great effort Smash Bros. Puts into translating each character's personality, even among characters who shared or had shared movesets with others. Maybe they didn't want people to mimic them in real life?
I am a dancer, that is to say, a conduit. I don't define movement, movement defines me. Every dance tells a story. A human mind. Exploration!
Anyway, onto the more gameplay-centered issues, starting with basic functionality. I always found it fascinating how a character can have the same moves between various games, yet vary wildly in viability. Bayonetta is a combo character that struggles to combo, not necessarily due to the tools in her kit, but their function, or lack thereof. Many of her multi-hitting normals will have characters simply fall out, with moves only partially or barely at all working due to blind spots in the hitboxes. Have you or a loved one been told by a Bayo player to just SDI? Well, no need to worry about it now, as some of her moves practically SDI for you. Also, you can do this with her smash attacks. Yeah. This ties into my next point about the character, which is kill power and survivability. Bayo's moves barely work, but when they do a fairly decent amount of damage, which is good, right? Well, if this was a traditional fighting game, it would be, as there is a set amount of damage one can take before losing a round. Not so in Smash. Unless the format changes to stamina, a kill is only counted when a character leaves the screen. Even now, in her sorry state, she is a veritable predator when it comes to tracking her prey off stage. But she has quite a bit of trouble finishing the hunt, and in many of her pursuits ends up in worse shape than much of what she's hunting. Bayonetta still strikes a very tall figure, but she has a reduced weight value from 4, bringing her from the outskirts to closer to the middle of the top 10 lightest characters in Ultimate. Many of her moves, when functional, rack up damage, but lack potency, leading to situations where even the lightest of lightweights cannot be killed by her. Bayonetta's smash attacks are by far the worst in the game. Aside from the usual issues of poor hitboxes and blind spots, her smash attacks have the lowest multiplier spread in the game, being 1.2 times, which is lower than the usual 1.4. This is only rivaled by Olimar, but even this is subverted when she uses Witch Time, which lowers it to 1.1 times. All of these aspects come together to make a large target lightweight that kills late and dies early, often faltering due to poor tools than any real fault of the player, forcing them to replay neutral over and over, where the disparity between risk and reward is made all the more apparent. Bayonetta does so much for so little that it would be genuinely hilarious if it wasn't so sad. Much of the character's frame data is downright abysmal. Phoenix composed a startup chart of all the characters in Ultimate up to 4.0. Of her normals, 10 were seen as below average, with only 2 of her grounded moves coming out before frame 9, being her down tilt and witch twist. Granted, her frame data wasn't winning awards in 4, but it was offset by good out of shield options. In Ultimate, with its faster pace and universally buffed neutrals, her deficiency in this area truly shows. Many of her moves have low priority and are incredibly unsafe. In the case of forward smash, it is so disgustingly minus that parrying it would give you enough time to land a falcon punch. Though even more so than that, I believe that the biggest example of poor risk-reward relationship is her counter, Witch Time, easily the worst of its kind. It's frame 8, that's not even counting the 40 frames of flipping necessary to start the thing, that can practically get it stuffed outright. Someone took the time to compare the startup and activity of this move in comparison to its ilk and showed her having significantly higher startup and in lag proportional to active frames than many of her peers. Some of you may be thinking, well, Bat Within is still a get out of jail free card. While Bat Within can definitely get you out of sticky situations, it also has the potential to screw you over in the worst possible ways. It skips ledge snap, meaning dodging near ledge can kill you. Considering she also has one of the worst air dodges aside from the character literally designed to not fight in the air, it's not ideal, and considering all the other factors, are you truly willing to insult your opponent's intelligence by doing this move in their face? All of this culminates in a high-risk, low-reward character that does not reward the player for the amount of execution required. Now, I'm not trying to say that you have to be a giga-brain in order to play Bayo, but it's simply the fact that the input is not proportional to the output with this lady. Seriously, you are out here doing jump-canceled normals into ladder combos just to not kill at 140%. At this point in time, I truly believe that Bayo is the worst character proportional to the amount of work required to make her subpar, much less mediocre. A mismatch of weaknesses with no real strengths. She's a lightweight, but without the speed and frame data that make them frightening. She has big slow moves, but lacks the kill power that makes them viable. She has a larger frame, but lacks the durability that makes having such a frame formidable. There is legitimately no real reason to play Bayonetta, as there is nothing she offers that nearly any character could do better. There is no niche that she fills that makes the headache of playing her worth it. And with the addition of newer characters in the game, the gap only widens. Despite this, despite all of this, there are still individuals thinking that she's fixed, or that she's balanced, or secretly broken somehow. Masahiro Sakurai himself said that she's so good. I have gone through all of this to say one thing. Bayonetta is not fixed. She is not balanced, nor is she good. If one would subscribe to the thought that she was broken in 4, she is still broken in Ultimate. Simply in the opposite direction. One may be wondering why so many seem to think this despite all of her issues being very obvious and easy to access. I do believe I have a solid idea as to why. Social media is the best worst thing that happened to mankind. Great in that it allows us to interact with people all around the world. Terrible in that it allows us to interact with people all around the world. I think a good anecdote that greatly summarizes the mindset of people who frequent such sites on a daily basis come from the before times. Before the great eradication that swept the land, when I was in a lower echelon of study, when I still had a body and wasn't confined to a slab and a bundle of nerves. I had to work with these two girls on a project, a website. In order to access and edit that website, we had to enter a password, that being Volcano123. They had made the basis for the site, and I simply needed to go in and add my part. I tried to enter the site, but the password didn't work. I didn't have a phone at the time, and they wouldn't answer their emails, so I came back to the educational facility with my partners furious that I didn't do my part. I tried to tell them that it didn't work. They then, with no hint of irony, said that I forgot the E.
Bruh.
Granted, I wasn't perfect in this story. I should have told them to write it down. But you had to understand, one of the girls I worked with skipped a grade to get to where she was then, and routinely took university-level courses. So you're going to have to excuse me for making the assumption that she at least knew how to spell. Not wanting to cause a scene, I entered the password, did my work, and went about my day. But it still confounded me that a person like this could exist. Someone so obviously wrong, but had enough validation from followers and friends that they believed they were right. Little did I know, there were so many sites fit to bursting with these exact same people. Which tells me one thing. More so than anything we can tap into the earth for, or anything we can synthesize in a lab, the most precious resource that human beings lack is common sense. The things an individual will do for a drop of clout is genuinely terrifying. The willingness for the average person to endanger themselves and others for fake internet points is actually sickening. Not simply because they're stupid, but because they are ordinary. They are people that you see every day. They share workspaces with you. They share oxygen with you. They share the roads with you. People like this operate heavy machinery every single day. And the only thing stopping them from doing something this brash is a yellow line we all agree to follow. The amount of stupidity that comes spewing out of a timeline every single hour of every single day is genuinely staggering. But how can they help it when the people regulating these sites are just as insane? The bass-ackward rules of these sites are more crazy than most of the people who frequent them. From the lack of transparency on how basic features work to utterly insane DMCA policies, which I'm not even sure who to truly blame, considering many of them seem to be the result of garbage algorithms rather than any corporate interference. Because let's be real, as weird as corporations may be, I don't think they would go out of their way to strike their own property. Not to mention their utter lack of any sort of respect for the fuel that keeps their platforms moving, the creators. You could be the biggest goody-goody or the most degenerate individual in the eyes of the public. You can be punished irregardless and with little to no chance for any type of recourse. Heck, you can wake up tomorrow and have your hard work be erased for absolutely no reason at all. You slip up once and you're out of here, but one search can show you the most blatant breaking of rules overlooked. Rules so vaguely worded not to keep you from breaking them, but rather from following them the wrong way, so they can pull reasonings out of thin air to destroy all your hard work. These platforms will create a system that practically damns short-form, high-effort, and meaningful content, promoting samey daily uploads, and then proceed to mock you for it. These platforms are diseased to the core, and one of the main reasons for degeneracy in a technological age, and the bane of any true rational discourse. Wait. I'm sorry, I blacked out for a second. What was I talking about? Witches and party games? All right. Bayonetta, yeah. The amount of gas this character received online during pre-release and early post-release was absolutely ridiculous. I believe by far one of the earliest instances of this was during Zero's appearance on the Japan Time podcast, a Smash Bros. / Nintendo podcast that talked about the latest events regarding the two. During his time on the podcast, he said,
And then Bayonetta's broken, dude. I think she's by far the best in that demo.
Despite having been away from the game competitively due to retirement and only playing against the character once in any competitive fashion. Later, on October 21st, 2018, it would be shown at a demo at Armageddon Expo that Bayo's up air couldn't kill middleweight Corrin at 170%. It's unknown whether this version was the same one Zero played, but it was to show that she was definitely not the same as she was previous, showing heavy nerfs even before the game released. Despite this obvious change, it didn't stop many people from placing her in high and mid-high and tier lists, in the game's early meta at least, which makes me come to one conclusion. I don't believe many people actually played Bayonetta in Ultimate. They only placed her based on what they heard and what they saw in combo videos online. Don't get me wrong, I love combo videos. There are games I don't necessarily enjoy playing but enjoy watching due to the creativity exhibited by the players. When I was a novice, I too used to think the combos in these videos were busted. But as I became more knowledgeable about fighting games, I came to find out that these combos shared on social media aren't necessarily a representation of how a game is usually played. A lot of these combos that you see get circulated have some ridiculous parameters. Like, it'll require a minute of setup, 12 meters, 8 assists, V-trigger, X-Factor, Pandora, Ultra, a prayer, and a raw launcher, while your opponent has to be a character the size of a supercontinent, and the person playing that character be blind, crippled, and crazy. One such video was made by Zero early in Ultimate's life. Over 1 million views. Insane Bayo combos. Shows Zero dying to combos that won't kill anyone at nearly triple the damage in an actual tournament.
If I fucking die?
What do you mean, if? You're holding in on a Bayo combo in the year of our Lord 2019. That was literally the worst thing you could possibly do. When I see a Bayo death combo online, while I do have respect for the person pulling it off, I also have this twinge of, wow, y'all really let this happen to you. People cannot watch Bayo get a foot off the ground without screaming, "Smash 4! Smash 4!" at the top of their lungs.
If I fucking die, you're canceled, dude. You're fucking canceled, dude. You're fucking... I swear to God, we're playing Smash 4 right now, dude. I swear to Christ, we're playing Smash 4, dude. I swear to God, dude, we're playing fucking Smash 4, dude. I swear to God, dude. I swear. I fucking swear, dude. Oh my God, dude.
And it's the outpouring of videos like this that fed that mentality, making people think that the character was good, but the people playing her are those that used to, just didn't want to try. One such individual was Shofu. Shofu, for the hoes that don't know, is a Pokemon and Smash Bros. Content creator who hosted the Japan Time podcast on his channel of the same name. He's been competitive in both games, doing team building and high-level battling in Pokemon, and participating in tournaments in Smash 4. He's also an accomplished rapper, having a whole channel dedicated to his collaboration with other like-minded individuals under the banner WDFA. The WDFA standing for He's made several ciphers, songs, and an album. He's made quite a bit of music, but if you ask me, nothing has surpassed the magnum opus that is the Schlurping on My Nuts duology.
I'm too hot. Grab a fucking thought. Get up in her box. Now she giving me some top. You ain't never seen these clothes. Never seen these hoes. Damn, I see a bad bitch. Booty, titties, and toes. This is how it goes. You already know. I put it in her nose.
But I digress. Shofu was one of many individuals who didn't believe that Bayonetta was bad, simply believing she was simply toned down and the people were simply complaining.
Yep. What I was saying before is that a lot of the people, like the Ryu players I've heard, don't like Ryu anymore because he's not entirely cheese.
Well, I like Ken, by the way.
You don't just sit in neutral spamming up tilt.
Yeah, he actually has to play the game now, so they don't know what the fuck to do. They're shook because Ryu players have no idea what the hell they're doing.
I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people.
Shade I've ever seen thrown. What the?
I think there's a lot of people. I think there's a lot of people complaining about Ultimate that are upset that they have to play the game now.
That's what I'm saying. Mewtwo players, I've heard about Mewtwo players. They don't know what Mewtwo's fucking good in this game.
I fucking love Mewtwo.
But they don't like Mewtwo because once again, he has to play the game. He can't air dodge. He can't air dodge 20 times in a row anymore. So he has to land on the ground at some point. And his side B doesn't like. There's just
I gotta press more than 3 buttons.
That's what I'm saying. The people that didn't actually have to play the game the way everybody else did don't know what the fuck they're doing. Right It's crazy.
The thing about Cloud that's weird. It's just like,
don't get me started on Bayo players. Sorry, I didn't mean.
Oh, okay.
You said don't get me started. I want to get you started. What's going on with Bayonetta?
I mean, it's just going back to what I was saying before. They don't know how to play the fucking game. So now the character is actually a real normal character. Not even. She still got some
for sure.
She still got some stupid shit. But because she's an actual character now instead of a fucking monster, they're shook. They don't know what the hell they're doing. So now they're calling her trash. They're abandoning her and picking other characters.
Fast forward a little bit, and Shofu is doing a Smash Ultimate series where he plays the cast online very similar to his 4 Glory series in 4. Like that old series, he had people comment on which character they wanted to see. The one with the most likes gets played. Genuinely wanting to hear how he felt about the character in the new game after various admittedly funny posts about her particularly, I made a submission. After being cucked in the comments section multiple times, he finally gave her an episode. Before he played her, he remarked that he had eyes, and he could not believe a character like her could be bad.
I don't think she's a bad character. People are saying she's trash, but just using my eyes, like I have eyes and I can see with them, like I can look at things. I don't think she's bad. I think that she's not ridiculous, but I don't think a character like Bayonetta could possibly be bad, like literally bad. Like
maybe he wasn't wearing his glasses at the time. Anyway, he labbed her for about 4 minutes before he hopped into the matches, and I kid you not 1, not 2, but 3 whole combos had the sandbag AI fall out of it back to back, and he immediately changed his stance.
All right, I see what the Bayonettas are talking about now.
This is honestly what made me believe that not many people had actually played this character. After 4 minutes, Shofu figured out how wrong Bayonetta felt. Granted, it seems that he didn't really look into her much after that, considering in the 8.0 patch he said that she had the best smash attacks in the game.
Why would they make Bayonetta's F smash stronger? What kind of bullshit is that? That's easily one of the strongest smash attacks in the game.
But, baby steps. If this is how someone felt after 4 minutes, imagine how they'd feel after 4 hours of constant experimentation. They'd feel a bit slighted. Especially if they'd played them before, and rightfully so. But many others didn't feel that way, saying they were simply complaining. I even tried to tell other people that Bayo was underwhelming, only to be called a liar, and that I didn't do my research. Little did they know. One of the favorite things to be said by dissenters was that the only reason that Bayo players dropped the character was that they were sad that she couldn't carry them anymore, which is hilarious because in the transition from 4 to Ultimate, people were dropping characters like Bad Habits. And the reasons they dropped these characters are the exact same reasons people complained about Bayonetta. Let's take a look at some examples. Parappa was a competitive Smash player who had no issues being vocal about his hatred of Bayonetta and her player base. He plays the Shotos and had great issue with Ken in the early stages of Ultimate. The problems he cited were moves not working for combos, lacking kill power, and low priority for moves. Funny thing is, this character got patched relatively quickly and became much better for it. Bayonetta had been dealing with that and more for a little over a year, but if you want any buffs for this character, you're smoking. Aight. Let's keep going. Void, a competitive Sheik and Pichu player, dropped Pichu after one set of nerfs specifically to his down tilt. Bayonetta practically had her entire move list uprooted and butchered by nerfs, but he still put Bayonetta in high tier in 4.0, accusing people of simply downplaying the character.
I feel like a lot of people kind of downplay Bayo. She hits you no matter what. There's like not as much escape as there was. As much escape as there was.
Okay, I saved Larry Lurr for last because he's a part of an even bigger issue. Larry Lurr is a competitive main of the Spaceys in the Smash games, the Star Fox characters Falco, Fox, and Wolf. He dropped Fox and Falco for Wolf due to the former feeling too different from his former appearance, and for the latter not stacking up to peers. The reason for dropping them are relatively minor in comparison to the other examples, but he later made a video where he put Bayonetta in a list of 5 characters who are secretly really good. He cited her kill power as something she is not in desperate need of, as her other qualities made up for it.
Though her up and down tilt aren't super fast, they have great range and put the opponent in an incredibly awkward position and can allow her to set up for a good follow-up. Witch Time is an amazing reversal option. I know a lot of people complain about her lacking kill power compared to Smash 4, but with her combo capability and all the other stuff she has, I don't think she's in desperate need of it.
Here's the thing. I can genuinely think of reasons one might prefer a Spacey over another, but I can't really think of any reason to play Bayonetta in Ultimate unless you already liked her to begin with. But the thing that's different about the other individuals I've mentioned is that he is at least aware that Bayo has been heavily nerfed, but he keeps saying that she's secretly good and not needing of buffs. He says she's not top tier.
I don't think Bayonetta is top tier, but she's still a very strong character in my opinion.
But he will throw her in a thumbnail saying she is. What I believe is occurring is the Eliza phenomenon hard at work. The Eliza phenomenon is a term I use to describe the reason why the character Eliza in Tekken 7 was underwhelming 4 seasons into the game's lifespan, and why people keep insisting that she's underrated, disgusting, or overall really good, when most of the people that play her say she's not. These people more than likely know this character is lacking, but because they know the frightening potential of a character like that, they'll keep saying they're good to keep them from getting the help they need. Same thing with Bayonetta. People are so afraid of her potential that they think that bare minimum buffs after weeks and weeks of nothing is enough to kill the game. It isn't helped by the constant fear-mongering done by so many YouTubers claiming that every new character with a unique mechanic that they've never even played yet might break the game. Yes, the trailer that the character appeared in makes them look broken. It's called advertisement. People are so paranoid that they are willing to start banning characters before they even release. Some of this stuff seems almost inherently dishonest. This goes especially for sites like Pro Guides who tout themselves as a source of good information for Smash, but cannot be bothered to do the bare minimum of research. Content like this is probably why so many people seem so confident about their Bayo knowledge, but when pressed, usually have never played her. They just take what they hear and run with it. This is also more than likely the reason why Sakurai himself thinks the character's
so good.
He's listening to the community's output saying she is. Honestly, I think this mindset has led to the nerfs of many characters. Did K. Rool deserve to get nerfed? Did Zelda? Did any of these characters deserve to get hit with the nerf bat? I believe there are many characters metagames who have not been developed much at all in Ultimate, and I would like to see them grow into their own before they're cut off at the knees. And you know what the funniest part is? Despite being nerfed to the point of irrelevancy and not receiving much proper care, people will still say Bayo players are complaining.
Wow, I'm like every Bayonetta ever. Getting punished for side B and calling this game bad and then wishing Bayonetta got buffed.
They will still refer to them in derogatory terms.
Oh, this is actually infuriating. This guy sucks so much dick.
After I beat him, I'm gonna call him a faggot in all capital letters. Okay.
And still say she doesn't deserve to be in the game. Even when the character is nerfed to non-functionality, it's not enough. It's never enough.
Two drifters off to see the world. There's such a lot of world to see. We're after the same rainbows and waiting round the bend. My huckleberry friend, Moon River, and me.
If I had to summarize in the most succinct terms, Bayonetta's implementation in Smash Bros. Is a lot like communism. On paper, it seems like a great and novel idea, but in practice, it has caused nothing but suffering to everyone involved with it. Which is honestly a shame, because Bayonetta is a game series whose mechanics, setting, and character has resonated with me to the point of inspiring me to seek out other action games of a similar ilk. To start this channel and talk about these games, and when I voted for this character way back when, I wanted to share that feeling with others, to expose them to this fascinating niche series that few people know about. Unfortunately, it seemed to have the opposite effect. There are individuals who will never touch the game simply due to how she was in Smash and how she affected 4. Though I think the thing that bothers me the most about this situation is how the controversy from Smash has overtaken what little relevancy the game had. The straw that broke the camel's back for me was when I had searched up Bayonetta on a whim, and the first thing that popped up before anything regarding the actual games was this video by the Score Esports about how Bayonetta destroyed an entire game. My favorite chestnut in this video is when he said that Bayonetta almost ruined the lives of its players.
She destroyed an entire game, but more importantly, she almost ruined the lives of the people who played her.
The fictional character herself, not the flesh and blood people booing and sending death threats. I feel like it's gotten to a point that the character is shouldering most of the blame for toxicity, more so than the community surrounding it. This is the type of community who will beg months for a direct, only to get upset that the leaks they got from a dubious source aren't true. The type of community that will froth at the mouth at the thought of a Japanese developer putting a Japanese character in their Japanese video game. The type of community who will use a message from their creator expressing condolences for people's deaths to beg for characters. The type of community with figureheads that denounce and trash talk other games and call the people who play them sheep.
For sure. Why does it seem like people all over Twitter are just bashing Melee? The thing is, Melee is a very special case in esport history. It's not many games like Melee. Like, this is how it normally goes when it comes to esports. A game gets released, it's popular for a few years, a new game gets released in the same series, and the old one dies. Rinse and repeat. Melee is one of the few exceptions to this rule, which means that a lot of people that kind of like cheaps, right? Go from one game to another. They never question whether the game is more fun, better, blah blah blah. Just like sheeps, they keep moving, right? And when the Melee community decided not to, that pisses them off. That's pretty much what it comes down to. They are mad over the fact that some people just don't blindly follow what everyone else does. That my personal guess is that other games pay their way in.
Samurai Showdown, by the way, has like 200 followers on Twitch. The old game has like 200 followers, and yeah, anyway.
The same types of figureheads who will see people working during one of the most virulent, morale deficient, and racially tense moments of our time, and say sitting in your air-conditioned room playing Ultimate is more difficult. The type of people to denounce a character's inclusion and whine about their jiggling assets the next. Type of community who will seethe regardless of who is added to the game, because at the end of the day, it's not about who's relevant or how cool their moveset could be. It's about getting the characters they want, and if it's not them, then who cares?
If you wanted Steven Smash, if you're excited about this announcement, guys, drop whatever you're doing, get off your phone, get off other tabs. I need you guys to listen to me. You are clinically ill. You are clinically ill, and something is gravely and seriously wrong with you, and you need to seek help. If you sat there and you play Minecraft, and you're sitting there thinking, yeah, I want to play as these characters in a fighting game, a platform fighter, whatever you want to call it. There is something wrong with you. Fundamentally, just rudimentary, there is something wrong with your ass, and your parents have failed you.
Invitation to join Smash.
Wait. It's not Rex? It's Pyra? No! No! No, she's a big titty anime bitch! That's why she got in! Oh my gosh! Who? Why? What? my thing fell. No! No! God, no! I don't even care! No. I hate it. Let's do it. This is the most weep shit ever.
Heaven forbid they have a sword, because that apparently makes them creatively bankrupt.
It should be cracked, but I know it's not going to be because that would
Oh, come on. Who's it gonna be? Please be Zagreus.
Why would it be Zagreus?
I don't know. Okay, someone who slashes.
Some stupid sword contest.
Sephiroth! No fucking way! Yo!
Oh my god.
Yo! I'm freaking the fuck out! Oh shit! Yo! That's actually fire. Yo, I gotta tweet
That's
fuck Melee.
so fucking lame.
That's so fucking cool. What?
That is so, another
Chris,
fucking
what?
another fucking
Chris,
sword guy.
Did you just say Sephiroth in Smash is not cool?
Oh my god.
Though I'd be lying if I believed that everyone was like this. I just think that there are many very vocal idiots whose opinions are amplified and given more reach through social media. You know how many people have the perception that Smash players despise motion inputs in fighting game characters? Well, when Ryu was first announced, people were so excited for him that it slowed the eShop to a crawl. No one cared then, and no one cares now. The only difference is that there are more people playing the game now, and therefore more opportunities for people to post something stupid. Just the nature of the internet. I've tossed around the idea of banning Bayonetta quite a lot in my experience talking about the character, and quite honestly, I would have preferred she not be in at all if it was going to cause this kind of fuss. But she is here now. And if she's going to continue to be here, I want her to be a lot better than she is. Thank you, quite sincerely, for your time.